Good evening, TNT family. We are fortunate again tonight to have our sister, uh, an MP for St. Augustine, Khadijah Ameen. Khadijah, I believe you are Shadow Minister for Local Government and anything else?
Yes, local government and education as well. A portion of education.
Wonderful. Right,
Yes.
right. Yes. So I deeply appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. And, I was looking at the Standing Finance Committee and I was able to see a few things, and based on what we seen that this government is saying, and what we see happening is not adding up, to any of us. I would like to say the math's not matching. So if you can give us a breakdown on what you've seen happening actually, especially in your constituency, we like to highlight what's taking place in your personal experience. I know you have been fully out there with some of the councillors. You're fully engaged with the local government process and what's taking place there also. So if you can give us a little enlightenment on what you see is taking place, I would deeply appreciate it.
Well, I let me start in St. Augustine constituency. St. Augustine is a UNC safe seat. It's on the east-west corridor. While we see resources being allocated to some of the closer seats, which happen to be marginal seats, such as St. Joseph and Tunapuna, we see total neglect in St. Augustine. We have some roads that are really bad. We have some bridges that are collapsing. We have agriculture access roads. The area south of the Churchill Roosevelt Highway and just on the northern side of the Caroni River bank is a food basket, very fertile soil. But because of the road conditions, because of the constant flooding and the poor water management, we have a lot of farmers there who have been disadvantaged. We have a situation where farmers in that area who were given leases many years ago, those leases expired. And just to get those leases renewed has been a task. So without renewed lease, it means that their land tenure is not theirs. The land is not theirs, essentially. So many of the incentives that the government speaks about for agriculture, they cannot access it. So they are creating incentives and putting things on the budget. And when you consider how it is difficult to access, it means that it's having no positive effect on the citizens. So agriculture is one thing. We also have the situation with schools. There are many schools that depend on corporate Trinidad and Tobago to maintain them. But we have this Cura Presbyterian School, which was started under the government led by Kamla Prasad Bisesa. It was, I would say, 90% complete. And when the PNM came, they stopped all work. After that, it was vandalized. It was overgrown in bushes. You had a lot of rats, rodents, you name it. Um, the corporation would have intervened to do rat beating and so on. And it was only when it became a real security risk that the ministry intervened and they cleaned up the place. Eventually, after years of advocating, what they did was allocate $5 million. So I was so happy. And it turned out that they took that $5 million to renovate the auditorium. So the classrooms are in the old building. The building itself is pigeon infested. You have cramped classrooms. You have a sewer system that is constantly overflowing and creating a health hazard for children. And then you have a brand new auditorium next door. So to me, it does not make sense. We have we have those constituency issues, but we also have a situation where local government is limited in how much it can assist. St. Augustine constituency sits within the Tunapuna Piako Corporation, which is run by the PNM. And they too have not fared much better than other regional corporations, even though their party is in government. And they are constantly without material to do simple things like road patching, to make signage, to create signs. You have no dumping signs, you have street signs, and so on. And every regional corporation faces this challenge. So, what I have observed that the government would do is allocate money to each regional corporation. It's passed in the budget, and you expect that you would get X amount of dollars for recurrent expenditure, that is to pay staff, to buy stationery, office supplies, materials, and so on, maintain your buildings, maintain your vehicles, but you also get what you call development program money, which is to do development work. So you will have paving of roads, construction of bridges, construction of drainage works. You may have construction of play parks, recreation facilities. You may be able to do a development in a cemetery and so on, and facilities that fall under the regional corporation, your markets and so on. And last year, in the budget, there was actually a front page Guardian headline where the minister said there's a 200% increase in funding in local government. But when you read between the lines, what he did is he ballooned the allocation by placing, in some cases, 8 million, in some cases 6, in some cases $10 million under a new heading called property tax. So they were promising regional corporations $8 million and thing in property tax. Of course, you know the story of property tax. The property tax, very few people would have filed. They had issues on the government side in terms of they were not ready to collect the tax. The deadline had to be shifted, and they still have not collected the tax. So, although that was placed there on the books, as they say, that money never reached the regional corporation. They also had allocation for a development program, but they remember the government introduced the procurement regulation. So the Procurement Act essentially asks every government entity to conform with the law, because that is the law. The regional corporations were never placed in a position to have a procurement unit. You are supposed to have an officer, you are supposed to have staff for the procurement unit. They never had that. They never had the proper training and so on. So it took some time for some of those new projects to get off the ground because they had to conform with the new procurement regulations. That aside, once an allocation is named and passed in the parliament in the budget, the regional corporation, any state entity, will then write to their line ministry or the Ministry of Finance for confirmation of funds. You must have confirmation of funds before you can proceed to engage in a contract. The regional corporations are a legal entity on their own. So when they engage in a contract, they must know where the money is coming from before they give that commitment, because that contract is a legally binding document. Once they have confirmation of funds, they can then go ahead and sign the contract and proceed to construct drains, bridges, pave roads, and so on. When that confirmation of funds is given from the ministry would then at some point release that money to the regional corporation, who will, after their own system of checks and balances to ensure that the work has been completed and that it is satisfactory and so on, the council will pass the resolution to agree to pay that contractor. And what happened on this occasion is that the minister refused to release the money. And he is using an excuse that is just totally baseless to claim that under the new procurement legislation, you cannot release money to the regional corporation until the project is completed. That is total BS. The money should be released to the corporation, and if perchance they run over into the next financial year, that is, the project is not completed in this financial year, they retain the money, they have it as committed on their books, and whenever the contract is complete, they can apply and use the money because that was the purpose it was given for. And so the minister has refused to release millions of dollars to the regional corporations for them to pay contractors whom they have already engaged, who have already started work. And you know what the minister is telling these regional corporations? You will pay them next year, out of next year's allocation. So I used an example of Penal Debe Corporation, who, when you calculate the amount of in terms of the value of the contracts that were not paid in this financial year, it means that in the next financial year, where after they paid their contractors from this year, they will be left with about 2 point something million dollars to do new development work. What development work is that doing in the entire Penal Debe region that is constantly affected with flooding, that is a developing area? What are they going to do with $2 million? So to me, the minister is kicking the can down the road, taking back, giving the money with the right hand and taking it back with the left hand. And then he puts the regional corporations at a disadvantage. And then it is the same minister who will claim that these regional corporations are underperforming. So you see where they are using the excuse of property tax. The regional corporations will not collect property tax. The property tax is being paid to the District Revenue Office of the Ministry of Finance. So again, that is another misleading thing that they have been saying to the public and to the regional corporations. They have been encouraging the public to pay their property tax with the claim that if you do, your roads will be better, your schools will be better, your play parks and so on will be better. And but the truth is the money is going to the consolidated fund. And thereafter, it will be given to the regional corporations. What the minister has also very clearly stated is that all the property tax from a particular region will not be going to that region. So the lie that they sold us before is slowly unraveling. And I find it disingenuous to be very kind. I find it a total mama guy for the Minister of Local Government to claim that he has increased the funding to regional corporations, when what we are seeing is just fluff and mama guy. What we are seeing is that they are committing money on paper and never releasing it to the corporations. We are seeing where they are giving money and taking it back. So, for instance, there was a very late transfer of funds where they took money out of several regional corporations to put towards CPEP and the RDC. So essentially, we were talking about $42 million that they took, which should have been used, when we look at the details, for municipal police equipment, for disaster management, for computerization of regional corporations, and several other critical issues. They took that money out of the regional corporations and transferred it to CPEP 2 or 3 weeks before the close of the financial year. And the question is, what are you doing with $46 million in 3 weeks? You see? So those are 3 methods that they have used to pull funding back from the regional corporation. I sat as the chairman of Tunapuna Piako Corporation when the UNC was in government. And I will tell you that delivery at local government is not only about the councillors, it is also about central government. The guidance of the minister is very important. So if there's any regional corporation who the minister chooses to come and blame in the budget, the question is, where was the minister? The minister has oversight over these regional corporations. You cannot tell me that regional corporations have been going along for the entire year, and if, as he claims, they are at fault and he did nothing. So to me, I believe that where there's a political will, you will have delivery. But I think that Faris Alwari, as an MP for San Fernando West, is on the back foot because the UNC has made a lot of inroads in San Fernando West, and he spends a lot of time trying to gain back popularity with those people. I even observed that, where the UNC has been speaking about local government playing a role in national security, where there are many communities who are interested in restricting vehicular access to their community, having gated communities. So where there's a public road, it falls under the regional corporation. There is a legal process that you should go through to restrict traffic coming into your area, to put a security booth and so on. And we in the UNC have been, with our Stand Your Ground legislation, been advocating that communities should, if they wish, follow the legal procedure and have their communities gated. Faris Alwari, as the Minister of Local Government, went to cut a ribbon in San Fernando, in a community that did not get the approval from the San Fernando City Corporation to have that place gated. So but he's doing it for the likes. He is doing it because he's trying to be popular. He's not doing it because he wants to do the right thing. And then you have the situation in Bamboo, where a security booth was demolished because residents did not follow the guidelines. They did not have approval from the regional corporation. But in San Fernando, they don't have approval from the regional corporation, from the city corporation, San Fernando City. But the minister is there cutting the ribbon. So you should have a proper policy to ensure that in every region, they are guided by some legal procedure, some uniform policy, and the council for that region will give approvals accordingly. So those are some of the things that we feel that the minister has fallen short, woefully short, and we, the thing is, how do you fix it? I don't think you can fix where you do not have the political will. I think it is just about changing the whole of the government because they have failed us on numerous fronts. Yeah.
One of the things I see here is has been always games with Commonwealth from day one. He has played with everybody's money. I mean, every agency in contract with the government has had issues with him releasing funds. The maxi drivers driving the school children had issues. But what concerned me recently is the dilapidated condition with those schools that I have seen some pictures, and I was shocked. I was really shocked. I was trying to get you in here to discuss it before, but it is very troubling. The issues that we have seen ongoing with the local government, with a councillor cannot get a backhoe to clean a drain. I mean, simple things like that. And yet we are running out there and spending money on building highways and stuff like that. To my understanding, I think we have about 90% of the roads in Trinidad that are more like a lake and a lagoon than a pothole. To tell you the truth, that's what I have seen.
Yes.
And to know the difference on how we under the PPG had maintained the roads and upgraded things, and to see where we went back is like I feel like we went back 100 years,
Yeah.
basically with conditions.
When you look at particularly some of the rural areas that have experienced that level of neglect from the PNM, even the major roads are in such such a bad state that it means the regional corporations will then have to take their funds to fix those roads. And it means less funding, less material to fix the local roads. We in St. Augustine constituency, even though we are in the East-West corridor and we have the universities there and all these agricultural places, we have the Norris de Unorine farmers Namdevco wholesale market. And the road that Mokoya wholesale market is on is one of the worst roads in the constituency. Mokoya extension. You have Centenary extension where, you could barely walk properly. You might injure yourself. People just have to, in St. Augustine constituency, walk with their shoes in their hand and then wash their foot and put it on and then go to work. And this is as a result of the neglect. But what happens is that there is an impact on the price of transport because a taxi is going to charge you more to go into these roads because of the poor condition of the roads. So the cost of transport increases, but there's also an impact on the local economy because, for instance, in areas where you have local tourist sites, where you can take your family and go for a drive. When the road is bad or when these tourist sites are difficult to access, less people go there. And it means that less small and micro entrepreneurs have opportunities to make an income. So the people who sell roast corn at the side of the road, snow cone, who make homemade ice cream and pone, people who do craft, local craft, all of these persons who will be affected, because on the roadway to these beaches, to our local tourist destinations, you have opportunities for small and micro entrepreneurs that has gone down the drain. So when you want to go to the mud volcano, when you want to go to any one of our beaches, consider what is the state of the road. If you want to go to Mayaro, how are you accessing Mayaro? Through the Naparima Mayaro Road, which is in a terrible condition, through the Manzanilla Road, which also, I mean, so it makes citizens think twice. We already have the bad crime situation. But if you are to pick up yourself and go with your family somewhere, again, that has an impact on local economic development. So local government really plays a role. So when they neglect roads, when you see roads with potholes and craters, when in the middle of the city they dig up a road to fix a pipeline and they can't fix it back for months, all of these things have spiral effects. It is not only for those people who might traverse there. It is not only the taxi drivers. It is not only the vehicles that are, you have to pay more to maintain your vehicle because your vehicle is mashing up with the condition of the roads. There's also an impact on our economy and the provision of jobs.
Well, you can't market tourism that you're bragging so much about and not prepare the place for tourists to come. You have to make the place clean. You have to provide facilities. You have to maintain it. You have to provide security if you want to impress people to come to your place. I mean, you don't bring guests in your house and don't wash the dishes and clean the house. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, in our business here, in the United States, is that you part of the great customer service is providing safety and a clean environment. You know, so I mean, they all this gallivant about local government reform, and you're collecting property tax, and they don't have the structure in place, the municipal structure in place to set up for that to take place. They brag about it. They didn't put anything in place for the municipal corporation to collect the funds. And I think it's very illegal for the central government to collect municipal tax that the way that they're going about it now. And one of the things that they have told people in some of these poor areas where they have their supporters, oh, we're going to tax them people in Gulf City so we can help you guys over here. That is the game plan that got them all excited to support the property tax because they're going to tax them rich people down in South and help you, in whatever area you live in. But that
Yes.
alone and all is illegal because the municipal tax has to go to the municipal region that it
Well,
belongs to.
one of the other very dangerous things that happened is that when the minister um, went to Parliament some time ago, well, he was really having no success with implementing property tax. And he went and he made a small change. They amended the act. And the UNC objected, of course, we objected in Parliament. But what he did is amend the act to allow the minister to change the percentage of tax. So the tax was first passed for it to be 3%. And he came to the public and he said, I want to lower it from 3% to 2%. So give me the power in law to vary the tax. And what this does is gives the minister, gives Colm Imbert, the power to change the tax. He could charge you 1% or he could charge you 10%. But
Yeah, I
people,
saw I saw the way he was given supreme authority over the revenue authority,
that
and that alone, I have a serious problem with that also.
That's right. So the people compare property tax in other countries. They say, look, in the United States, you have the municipality, you pay local taxes, and the money goes to the local authority, and they in turn would do the work. The councils would do the work. And our tax is not structured like that. So I think we have to continue to educate the public about what property tax really is. The PNM is spending a lot of government money doing advertisement, going out there and spreading propaganda in terms of what property tax is. So I will be happy to join you another time where we can
Definitely appreciate if you can come back on that. We want to continue this discussion. And
certainly
also, I want to bring in some of the other counselors together with you, so they can,
definitely.
converse with what's taking place with them.
Our councillors, as you know, are always on the ground. Our municipal corporations are headed by chairmen who are well qualified, well experienced, but also very much on the ground. So they can speak like a parliamentarian, but they are also very, very much on the ground. And I have been working and coordinating with our local government representatives in the UNC. And I think at any time I would facilitate you interviewing some of our local government reps because I think it
Let's
would.
do that. Let's work on that, definitely. But this government, like I said before, and we have not seen value for money. There is no lack of accountability. They refuse to answer. There's a whole ordeal just to get freedom of information on anything that they're doing. They have acted when they took government like they don't have to answer to nobody. For more than a whole year, they wasn't really responding to anybody.
Well,
We've seen the economic collapse too.
yeah, they take pattern from their leader. The leader, their political leader, has been very clear. He doesn't answer to anybody. He stoops, walk off, cuss people, and we see people.
Like we saw recently in the parliament.
So I think people have to be mindful of what the government and the prime minister's example is also in terms of how you conduct yourself, how you account to people, your own personal integrity, how you conduct yourself in parliament, in public. It sends a message even to our boys and our men in terms of what is acceptable behavior. So I think they have fallen woefully short in terms of setting that bar, certain in terms of what is acceptable behavior. Your lack of accountability in government also means that you send a message that people are personally not accountable for their behavior. And therefore, even in schools where we see bullying, where we see violence in society, violence against women, it sends a message, a subliminal message about what is acceptable and not acceptable. So I think really this is the time for Trinidad and Tobago to examine what they want. And when people say UNC and PNM is the same, UNC and PNM are not the same. But this is not about UNC and PNM, this is about you. And I always tell people, vote for you to have better health care. Vote for your children and grandchildren to get laptops in schools. Vote for you to have better roads. Vote for yourself. And if you do that genuinely, you will vote for a government led by Kamla Persad-Bissessar because you have seen the non-performance of Dr. Keith Rowley versus the performance of Kamla Persad-Bissessar from 2010 to 2015. So this is about you having better in terms of jobs being available, opportunities for young people, better infrastructure in your communities, better health care, medication available, that kind of thing. So that's what people have to consider at this time.
Well, I want to let you know that this platform is available for continuing to educate our people. It's available at a moment's notice. You have something going on and it's taking place. I can send you a link and you go live right away. We want to be able to show the people what's taking place in the country,
Certainly
and
appreciate.
what type of government they had before. We have seen people voted against themselves, the ones that needed these resources more than anybody else.
Yes.
The laptop, the life fund, the baby grant. So some of the things I've been discussing with our leader is utilizing the secondary schools as an evening after school program for people to go back to school and get their, to continue their education, their job training,
Yes.
decentralizing resources where we will reduce the amount of traffic, unnecessary traffic. People have to get up 4 o'clock in the morning to go to Port
Yeah.
of Spain.
Guys,
Ridiculous.
that whole decentralization drive was something that I think was doing well under the People's Partnership government, but it has been reversed under this government. But I know that is a whole, that is also a part of local government and local development and having economic drivers in various parts of the country so that everybody doesn't have to go into Port of Spain. But there's so much in terms of the resources of each region which has to be enhanced and utilized to allow that to happen. Yeah.
So, sister, I know you were pressed for time, and I want to thank you for taking the time for joining
Yeah.
us here tonight.
Much for
And I want to open the door for a continuing conversation on local government whenever you can come back and bring some of the other councillors with you.
certainly, certainly.
So,
Thanks again.
thank you very much. Any last words before you go?
I just want to thank you all for keeping the message out, for keeping the fire burning, because one of the things that we have to do is to continue to keep the public and the nation aware and informed. So please keep up your good work.
Thank you very much, sis. Good night.